At dawn, an ancient city wakes to a silence that should not exist. A vast bath lies dry. The waters drained 4,000 years ago. Bones lie scattered where people once walked, frozen in their final step. Compared to medieval London, this place looks impossibly modern, almost alien. Stone gutters carry no water, yet their precision still astonishes us. A private bathroom waits, unsettlingly familiar, across 40 long centuries. An empty marketplace listens only to the wind drifting across its stones, ancient and indifferent. A wooden door hangs open, as if someone stepped out and never returned. Row after row of dark doorways, each opening into silence. From above, the lost city reveals a grid of impossible geometric perfection. 7 points light up across the old map. Each one marks a vanished world. A single broken pillar remembers what the desert chose to forget. In a dim lab, a scientist uncovers shapes buried beneath the desert sand. Dust drifts through a beam of light in a chamber no one has entered for centuries beyond memory. And today, we step together into mysteries no one has ever solved. Mohenjo-daro, a name older than written history itself. Streets meet at perfect right angles. A city designed before mathematics. Inside every home, a private well, a luxury most empires never knew. Beneath the streets, a vast sewer system, older than the pyramids of Egypt. The great bath rises from the dust like a temple, built to honor water itself, monumental and silent. There is no palace here, no throne, no king ever sat above his people. A small carved seal holds a script that no living mind can still read. Citizens once filled this market with grain, pottery, and quiet trade among neighbors. A vast granary. A city that fed itself with extraordinary order. A child's terracotta cart, still waiting where small hands left it. People walked these streets carrying water, unaware of what was coming for them all. The same street stands today, hollowed out by silence and dust. Then come the bones, scattered, as if death arrived without warning. An archaeologist kneels among the dead, searching the dust for an answer that may never come. A Geiger counter ticks unexpectedly above stones buried for thousands of silent years. These bricks were fused by heat. Heat no ordinary fire could ever produce. Once a great river flowed beside the city. Now only its ghost remains. The climate shifted. The rains that fed an empire walked away forever. Slowly, families gathered their belongings and abandoned the homes their ancestors built. What remained was a city without people, a body without breath. An archaeologist scribbles theories in a notebook, theories no one has yet confirmed. Pottery shards on a wooden table whisper of meals that were never finished. A bronze dancing girl smiles across 45 centuries of unbroken silence. Layer upon layer of brick, the slow death of a civilization written in clay. A pottery kiln stands cold, its last fire extinguished without any ceremony. The sun still rises over Mohenjo-daro, but no human voice greets it now. Crops withered in the fields as the river slowly retreated underground and disappeared from view. The citadel mound stands empty, its purpose forgotten by the entire world. Twilight settles over ruins that once outshone every city of their ancient age, glowing softly. A small clay oil lamp lies broken, its flame extinguished long ago. Across the world, another jungle hides another vanished empire. Angkor Wat. Beautiful, eternal, and unbearably alone. Stone walls preserve battles, gods, and dancers, all carved in patient detail by hands long dead. Vast reservoirs once mirrored the sky and sustained 1 million human lives. The serene faces of Bayong stare in every direction, watching no one. At its peak, Angkor was the largest pre-industrial city ever built, vast beyond imagination. Medieval London, by comparison, would have looked like a small, muddy village. An aerial view reveals canals carved with breathtaking, almost reckless ambition. Citizens drew water from these channels every single morning of their lives. Now tree roots strangle the temples, slow, patient, unstoppable. A tree ring tells of decades when the rains stopped coming. Rice fields cracked open under a sun the kingdom could not appease. Then the rains returned in floods that broke the very dams the engineers had built. A hydraulic channel split apart. The heart of Angkor began to fail. Citizens drifted away, in small groups, then in waves, then forever. Today, the Great Causeway leads only to silence and broken stone. A sediment core preserves the changing climate that destroyed an entire empire from below. Inside a temple, light falls on altars no priest has tended for centuries. Faded paint clings to a wall, the last memory of a forgotten color. From above at sunset, Angkor glows like a kingdom, still dreaming of itself, refusing to fully die. Centuries later, a French explorer sketched the ruins he could barely believe. Phnom Penh now rises where the Khmer Empire once ruled supreme over Asia. A stone apsara still dances, her feet rooted in vanished sacred ground. The reservoirs lie cracked and dry, mirrors of the sky, no longer holding it. A monk walks softly through corridors where mighty kings once held court before the world. Outer walls erode year by year, returning slowly into the patient jungle. The last sunset over Angkor turns its towers into burning, forgotten gold. Dust drifts through a shaft of light, the only living thing inside. An inscription stone holds words no living person has fully translated. We leave Angkor as the wind has left it a ghost wrapped in tangled green. In Jordan, a narrow canyon hides one of the world's greatest secrets. The treasury appears suddenly, carved straight from the living rock. Pink sandstone, impossible, breathtaking, silent across 2,000 years. Each column tells of artisans who worked in the dark for years on end. Spice caravans once rested here, after crossing impossible deserts to reach this hidden valley. A handful of frankincense recalls the wealth that built this city. Royal tombs stretch along the cliff face, homes of kings the world forgot. Channels carved into the rock once carried life through this brutal desert. Hidden cisterns stored enough water to keep many thousands of people alive in the burning heat. Petra traded silk, gold, and stories from every known land on earth. On a high place, priests watched the stars. They read the future in the night sky above. A Roman theater carved into stone could once seat 8,000 spectators. Then the earth itself shook. Walls older than memory came crashing down. Reconstructions show streets collapsing as the ground betrayed its own people in one afternoon. New sea routes opened. The great spice caravans simply stopped arriving. Petra's citizens walked away from a city the world would forget for centuries. Empty streets filled with sand, then silence, then nothing at all. Sand poured slowly into the tombs, sealing them away for nearly 1,000 years. For nearly a millennium, Petra existed only in whispers and rumor. Then a young Swiss explorer disguised himself and walked straight into legend. He stood before the treasury. He saw what no European had ever seen. His sketches stunned the world. They reawakened a sleeping wonder of antiquity. Today, tourists walk where caravans once rested in their golden settling dust. Up close, every carving still bears the patient marks of vanished hands. By lamplight, Petra glows the way its ancient builders may have first seen it. Inside an empty tomb, only the echoes remember who was buried here. A dry streambed cuts through the canyon, the ghost of a vanished river. From above, Petra reveals the true scale of a kingdom history nearly forgot. The wind shapes sandstone slowly, indifferent to everything that was lost. Petra's last sunset paints the rose-red city deeper, darker, more silent. On the Anatolian plateau, a different kind of city quietly waited for dawn. An excavation mound rises gently, hiding 9,000 years of secrets. The houses had no streets between them, only crowded rooftops above the world. Citizens walked across the roofs, climbing into homes from above. Each family descended a wooden ladder into the living quarters below. A hearth in the floor warmed both food and the long, cold nights. Beneath the floor, the dead were buried, right where the living slept. Vultures, painted on the walls, carried souls between worlds, watching every birth and every death. Bull skulls watched over rooms, generation after generation, century after century. A small mother goddess figurine speaks of an ancient devotion to life itself. There was no palace, no temple, no leader ever raised above the rest. Walls were replastered countless times, layering memory upon memory. A citizen paints a mural with red ochre on freshly smoothed and waiting clay. Grain bins stored the harvests that fed the entire small-ordered community for many seasons. A headless figure on a wall, whispering of rituals we cannot decode. On the horizon stood a volcano, both protector and silent threat. A mural may show this very volcano erupting in living, terrified memory. Citizens gathered on the rooftops to watch the dark smoke rise far away on the burning plain. Stone tools rest where they were dropped, as if interrupted in mid-task. Fire damage scars one wall, marking some forgotten and frightening disaster. Each new home was built directly on the ruins of the one that came before. Eventually, the citizens left, abandoning a way of life that lasted millennia. An empty hearth holds the last warmth a family ever made within these walls. The mound buried itself slowly, hiding Çatalhöyük from the world for ages beyond counting. A modern excavation trench cuts down through countless layers of human time. An archaeologist gently brushes a mural the painter abandoned long ago. Dental plaque from a skeleton reveals the foods these vanished people once ate every day. Population pressure may have cracked the careful balance these people kept. Sunset settles on the silent mound, ancient, patient, quiet as ever. Stars wheel overhead, just as they did when the very first homes were built here. Far across the ocean, the Amazon hides yet another impossible lost city. A river snakes through endless green, hiding worlds the canopy never reveals. An old explorer's photograph hints at the lost worlds beyond these dark trees. Jungle paths swallow expeditions. Expeditions that have never returned home. A faded map traces the route of an explorer who simply vanished. Modern LiDAR cuts through the canopy, peeling back the green to expose the lost. And it finds the impossible. Roads, plazas, entire cities buried in green. Reconstructions show plazas, roads, and homes hidden beneath the silent green canopy of jungle. Citizens gather in a central plaza, a plaza we never knew existed. Hidden farms once fed populations the rainforest, concealed for centuries. Earthen causeways stretched between settlements, like ancient, silent highways. Then European ships arrived, and everything began to change forever. Disease spread faster than any army could march, mapped now by historians and biologists. Plazas emptied as entire populations died within a single, devastating generation of contact. Within decades, the jungle had returned to swallow everything humans built. A modern researcher launches a small drone above the recovered green canopy. Earthworks emerge from above, geometric proof of an entire vanished people. Pottery shards lie half buried in roots, silent witnesses without words. Dark, fertile terra preta soil reveals careful, deliberate Amazonian farming techniques. Citizens once dried manioc here, the staple food of their entire green world. A canoe glides on the river that carried trade across the basin for centuries beyond memory. Light filters through the canopy, illuminating ground no one has tilled in ages. An old causeway lies broken beneath the moss, still pointing somewhere unknown. A small carved idol gazes upward, with eyes that have seen everything end. A bone fragment surfaces in the soil, anonymous, unforgotten, and waiting. Modern researchers sit in tents where sophisticated cities once stood above the jungle. A LiDAR map spreads wide, showing rows only machines can still see today. A bright macaw watches from a branch above the silent, lost civilization below. Mist rises from the river, and the slow breath of a forest with long memory. The slow breath of a forest with a long, patient, unforgiving memory of all that came before. In the Sierra Nevada of Colombia, another secret quietly waits in the clouds. A stone stairway climbs into the jungle, polished smooth by ancient feet. Circular stone terraces emerge from the green, the bones of a city in mist. From above, Ciudad Perdida reveals itself in tiers of perfectly carved stone, layered into mist. Reconstructed Tairona citizens move through plazas they once called home. Carved pathways guided ancient travelers between sacred parts of the city. A small stream still crosses a stone where children once played. A Tairona gold pendant glints with the artistry of a forgotten people. On the highest platform, ancient ceremonies once united the earth and the sky. An indigenous elder gazes across the mountains. His ancestors once ruled with quiet wisdom. He walks a mountain path his people have walked for many generations. A sacred cotton bag holds objects whose meaning only he understands now. Today, the stone platform stands empty, waiting for ceremonies that ended. Spanish ships and steel arrived. Everything that was sacred slowly broke apart. Tairona citizens carried what they could and finally left their city behind. Mist drifts through empty plazas as the mountain reclaims its lost child. Vines wrap around stones that once held 1,000 lives in careful balance with the land. A faded photograph shows the moment the world relearned this place existed. A modern trekker climbs the same stone path the Tairona used every day. An indigenous elder watches the visitors with quiet, patient, ancient eyes. A stone carved with a map still points the way for those who can read it. Cloud forest swallows the mountain, hiding far more than it ever shows. Indigenous hands at a loom carry on the threads of an ancient sacred knowledge passed down silently. The mountains burn deep red at sunset, indifferent to all they have outlived. From above at twilight, the lost city glows briefly, then falls back to silence. Across the Sahara, dunes hide a civilization once richer than any king on earth in its time. Timbuktu, a name that once shimmered through every market in the medieval world. Reconstructions show the great court of Mali, lit by gold and ancient learning. Gold poured through hands here, in quantities the world had never seen. Caravans crossed the Sahara, carrying salt, gold, books, and sacred faith. Slabs of salt rode on camels, more precious, even, than the gold beside them. Mansa Musa's procession to Mecca crossed the desert and burned itself into legend forever. His gold flooded Egyptian markets and crashed their economies for years. And it crashed their economies for many years afterward. At Sankore University, scholars studied the stars, the law, and philosophy. Manuscript pages turn slowly, carrying knowledge centuries old. Stacks of ancient manuscripts rose to the ceiling in private libraries throughout the city. An astronomer raised his astrolabe to read the language of the night sky. Then Moroccan invaders arrived. The great age of learning came to its end. Manuscripts were hidden inside walls, buried in sand, smuggled away by night to save them. New ocean trade routes opened. The desert caravans grew quiet, then still. Empty streets in Timbuktu. Remember, footsteps that no longer come at all. Crumbling mud brick walls return slowly to the desert that first bore them. Sand creeps relentlessly into doorways, the desert reclaiming its lost child. In a modern lab, careful hands restore manuscripts saved from centuries of dust and quiet decay. A camel waits in an empty marketplace where vast fortunes once changed hands. A great dust storm approaches across the dunes, vast, indifferent, unstoppable. Wooden beams in the mosque hold up the heavy weight of forgotten centuries. Stars rise over the mosque, the same stars Sankore scholars once charted with care. A hand rests on a manuscript, the last living thread to a vanished world. In Italy, a great mountain rises against the sky, peaceful, watching, waiting. Pompeii, alive with bread, wine, and laughter, just before the end. Pompeii's busy streets bustle with citizens who do not yet know their fate. Bread bakes in a stone oven, ordinary, warm, and, in a moment, final. Painted frescoes still glow on the walls where families once gathered for evening meals together. Then, Vesuvius opens. A column of fire rises into the dark heavens above the bay. Citizens look up in confusion. The sky turns black at the height of midday. Ash begins to fall on rooftops, soft at first, then heavier, then choking. A pyroclastic flow descends, faster than any human can ever hope to run. Pompeii is buried under meters of suffocating ash, within only a few hours of horror and silence. Centuries later, excavators rediscover a city paused in its own final moment, frozen in time. A plaster cast captures a body, curled in the position of its last breath. A loaf of bread sits in an oven where it has waited 2,000 years. Even small graffiti scratched on a wall has outlasted everyone who read it. The forum stands empty, with Vesuvius watching from the very same place. Stepping stones still mark streets where Romans once crossed in the rain. A plaster cast of a small dog twists in agony across 2,000 years of preserved silence. Vesuvius stands quiet today, but the danger has never truly gone away. A garden fresco still blooms with painted birds who never finished their song. Pompeii's ruined columns burn deep red against a final and falling sun. 7 cities, 7 warnings. We have not yet listened to a single one. A modern skyline lights up at dusk, eternal, brilliant, certain of itself. Yet imagined ruins show our towers cracked, silent, lost beneath the green. One day, a future archaeologist may brush dust from something we once owned and treasured. And in the silence that follows, only the questions and the lessons remain.